game, he lost his head as it caught my attention. I will also play the gentle rain sound when I'm reading, so that you can enjoy a little bit more. Let's get started. Once upon a time, there was a little fellow called Mr. Fluster. Now, you may think that is a strange name, and so it is, but it suited him down to the ground. You see, Mr. Fluster was always losing his head about things and getting into a terrible fluster. If anything unusual happened, or if he lost anything or got upset, he rushed here and there and tidied everything, and generally got into such a fluster that he made people most annoyed. If he lost his collar instead, he would begin to pull his hair and stamp about and make his wife very cross. Why lose your head about a silly little thing like a collar stab, she would say. Yesterday you got in a fluster because your bus was 5 minutes late, and the day before, what an upset you were in just because the paper boy left you the wrong paper. Really, Fluster, you should be ashamed of yourself. Poor Mr. Fluster, he was always losing his head about one thing and another, and his wife really didn't know how to cure him. You know, you're beginning to make me all flustered too when things happen, she said. Do stop it, Fluster. But he couldn't seem to. He only got worse and worse. And one day, when he lost his purse, he was so upset that he quite lost his head and ran after everyone to feel in their pockets. Have you taken my purse? He cried. Are you the person who's stolen it? Well, of course, you can't do things like that. And Mrs. Fluster got very worried when she saw Mr. Fluster behaving so strangely. Pull yourself together, she said sternly. One of these days, your head will come off and you really will lose it. But Mr. Fluster didn't get any better at all. And at last, Mrs. Fluster went to see her old great-aunt Gumi, which was a bit of a witch. They sat together in Aunt Gumi's kitchen and talked about Mr. Fluster. Can you tell me how to stop poor Fluster from losing his head about things a dozen times a day? Asked Mrs. Fluster. You're so very clever, great-aunt. And Gumi's eyes twinkled. What about giving him a fright and making him really lose his head, she said. Mrs. Fluster looked rather doubtful. I'm not sure. I would like Mr. Fluster without his head, she said. Ah, you won't take it off or anything like that, she said. Aunt Gumi, twinkling again. No, but I could give you a spell that will make his head invisible as soon as he gets into a fluster. Then, when he looks into the glass, he will not see his head, and he'll think he really lost it. Oh, that does seem a very good idea, said Mrs. Fluster, and she twinkled too. Yes, I will try it. It will certainly give him a fright and maybe stop his bad habits. Aunt Gumi gave Mrs. Fluster a box of fine powder. You blow this lightly over the back of his head. Next time he gets into a fluster, she said. It will make it quite invisible. All you have to do is make it come back again. All you have to do to make it come back again is to flap the duster at him. Thank you so much, Aunt Gumi, said Mrs. Fluster and took the pounder home with her. Now, the next day, Mrs. Fluster had a little sewing party. 5 of her friends were to come and to keep Mr. Fluster company. His friend, Mr. Flare-Up, was to come to tea too. It was rather a pity that Mr. Fluster had a friend like Mr. Flare-Up, because Flare-Up had a hot temper and often upset Mr. Fluster. Still, Mrs. Fluster hoped things would be all right. All her friends came to the sewing meeting. Mr. Fluster and Mr. Flare-Up want to sit in the other room to talk. And very soon, Flare-Up said something to upset Mr. Fluster. "Did you know that some bad boys have broken your fence at the bottom of your garden?" he began. "I saw them smashing yesterday." "Well, why did you stop them?" cried Mr. Fluster. "My perfectly good fence. Oh, I'll punish those boys. No, I'll ring the police. No, I'll go down the fence this very minute and make you help me to mend it. Oh, what shall I do? What a state the world is in if boys can come and smash down fences." Now, don't get in a fluster," said Mr. Flare-Up. "That's just silly, you know it. And keep your head, don't lose it over a silly thing like that." "You call that a silly thing?" cried Fluster, beginning to tear his hairs. "Why, the fence cost me." Mr. Fluster heard the upset from the next room. She picked the box of powder and went quietly into the room where Fluster and Flare-Up were shouting at one another. She opened the box and blew the fine powder all over the back of Mr. Fluster's head. Neither he nor Flare-Up saw what she did. Then she went quietly back into the room. For she knew the spell would take a few minutes to act. It acted very well. The magic powder began to make Fluster's head quite invisible. The top of it went first, then the middle of it, and then the bottom part. Flare-Up stared at his friend in horror while he hadn't got a head. But still he had a voice. "What are you staring at me like that for?" cried Mr. Fluster. "What's the matter?" "Oh, Fluster, you've lost your head," wailed Flare-Up. "Your wife always said you would, and now you have. It isn't there." "Of course it is there," yelled Fluster. "How could I talk or see if I hadn't got a head? I'm talking, aren't I? And I can see you and hear you. Well, of course I've got a head." You haven't, you've lost it," said Flare-Up, beginning to feel frightened. It was horrid to see Fluster ending his collar. Fluster strolled over to the big mirror and looked at himself. Then he felt himself go cold. He began to tremble. He saw himself in the mirror, but without a head. Yes, he certainly hadn't any head at all. Fluster simply couldn't believe it. He went into the other room, calling for his wife. Everyone looked up. Mrs. Timble gave a scream. "Oh, the man lost his head. Where is it gone?" Mrs. Needles jumped up in horror. "Oh, what is this? Where's your head gone, Fluster? Surely you haven't lost it?" Mrs. Fluster knew what happened, of course, but she wasn't going to say a word. The others turned to her in amazement and fear. "Mrs. Fluster, look what's happened to your poor husband. He's lost his head." "That's nothing new," said Mrs. Fluster, snipping away with her scissors. "He's always losing it about something or other. I told him one day it will go properly, and now it has. He certainly lost it." "Oh, funny, what shall I do?" wailed poor Fluster. "I looked in the glass, and I hadn't had a head. But I can talk and see, you know. Oh, this is the most awful thing that has happened to me." "It's no use telling him to keep his head about it because he hasn't won," said Flare-Up, coming into the room and staring at Fluster. Well, I've often heard people talk of others losing their heads, but never thought I'd see it happen. He'd better see the doctor, hadn't he, Mrs. Fluster?" Yes, I'll go straight away and see the doctor," cried poor Fluster, and he raced out of the house. He bumped into the postman, and the man dropped all of his letters and tore down the street in fright as soon as he saw Fluster without a head. Everyone ran when they saw Fluster. Even the dogs barked and flew. He really was the most peculiar sight. He came to the doctor's at last and rang the bell. "Doctor, oh doctor, I've lost my head," he cried, when the door opened. But the doctor slammed it shut again. He was most alarmed. He wasn't going to have people without heads walking into his house. He didn't know what to do for them, that was certain. Fluster went home again and made such a noise of weeping and howling that everyone looked out to see what it was, and their eyes nearly fell out of their head when they saw poor Fluster and heard him talking with a mouth that wasn't there, and weeping tears from eyes that weren't there either. There was no one at home but Mrs. Fluster, still coming sewing. Everyone else has gone, for they really felt too upset to stay. Fluster stared at his wife. You don't seem at all upset about this," he said. "Well, I don't see any reason to lose my head about it," said Mrs. Fluster. "One person losing his head is quite enough. These things may be catching. I'm going to keep calm and quiet. You'd better too. I'm sure it's the only way to find your head again, Fluster." "I'll try, I really try," said poor Fluster, and he sat down and tried to be calm. But it was very, very difficult. "If only my head would come back again, I'll be very, very careful never to lose it anymore," he said, looking at him in the mirror and shivering to see how strange he looked. "Nonsense, Fluster. You know you would straight away go and get upset about something and lose your head again," said Mrs. Fluster, beginning to sew a very neat buttonhole. Fluster watched her. "If you reminded me that my head might go when I get into a fluster, it would stop me," he said. "Do you think it would?" said Mrs. Fluster, and she got it. She took a duster and walked behind poor Fluster. "Yes, I know it would," groaned Mr. Fluster, putting his invisible head into his hands and wondering why it felt as if he had won when the mirror told him he hadn't. Mrs. Fluster flapped her feather dust at the back of the Fluster's head. Then she went and sat down again. Fluster's head began to come back slowly. The chin came back first. Mrs. Fluster watched with great interest. Fluster looked at him in the glass. Then he looked again. He jumped up. "Funny," he cried. "I believe my head is coming back. Look, isn't it my chin?" "Yes, there, and there's your nose," Mrs. Fluster said. "And your eyes. Look. Oh, good. You look much better now, and there's your hair coming back too." "Oh, thank goodness, cried Mr. Fluster, and he did a little dance around the table. "Oh, I thought I'd have to go for the rest of my life without my head. Oh, funny, I will never lose again." "Well, mind you don't," said Mrs. Fluster, and she turned away to hide a smile. "It's a most unpleasant thing for everybody." And now, when little Mr. Fluster begins to get upset about things and go all hot and bothered, Mrs. Fluster speaks to him sternly. "Fluster," she said, "keep your head, don't lose it. When annoying or unusual thing happen, keep your head. You may want to use it. Remember what happened to you once, Fluster, and keep your head." Well, he's much better now, but it must have been a funny sight to see him lose his head properly, mustn't it? Do you ever lose yours? I hope not. That's it for today. Oh, Mr. Fluster was me. Bye bye. If you enjoy this, bye bye. If you enjoy this, please give a comment and give a thumbs up. Thank you.